Danny Shirey Irving of DK Pittsburgh Sports, he posted via Pierre LeBrun at TSN and stated that the Penguins are interested in signing Kris Letang to a short-term extension after the season. Obviously, Kris Letang playing on a contract year. A lot of players for the Pittsburgh Penguins playing on a contract year, but Kris Letang being one of the biggest names, along with Evgeni Malkin and Brian Rust. But apparently the Penguins and Fort Knox himself, Ron Hextall, has leaked something out to the tune of that they want to sign Letang to a short-term extension after the season. Also stated that Letang is looking for a longer deal. So basically what it sounds like is the Penguins, they want a short-term deal to prolong this window a little bit maybe, but not get attached to it whenever they want to burn it all down. They don't know when that's going to be, so they want to keep their options open. That's basically what it sounds like from the Penguin side. For Letang's side, it sounds like he's trying to secure the rest of his career in Pittsburgh.
That's fair.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like this is the last time he wants to make a contract, make a deal, and he wants it to be the last deal he signs in Pittsburgh. He wants a long deal so he can just know that that's going to be the rest of his career. First things first, Horwat, do you want Letang back after this season?
Yes.
Okay, now that I've mentioned and made sure that you're not losing your mind and psychotic, because anybody that says no to this is psychotic. So now that we got that out of the way, obviously the Penguins need Kris Letang back after this season. The guy plays almost 30 minutes a game, power play, penalty kill, short hit, like everything. 600 career points, all that jazz. Let's get to the harder questions then. How long would you want to see his contract be for?
I'm a fan of the short-term deal. I'm a fan of that because he can demand the money. You know, he can demand a good high AAV. But once you start getting into the idea of a long-term deal with a guy that is going to be pushing 35 this offseason, you don't want to put all of the eggs in that basket of we're going to give you a 6-year deal or whatever he may want, 5, 4, I don't know. What are we defining as a short and a long term also? I mean,
see, I don't know that because that's very much in the eye of whoever's talking.
Yeah, I would say 2 to 3 years is fine because again, you can demand that high price tag. You can. You're Kris Letang, you've been here forever. I'm not saying you could demand the sun and the moon because you are going to be 35, but you're entitled to your payment, especially since you're hitting 35 and you haven't shown too many signs of falling off. Like I think I've been predicting for years and years now. Maybe I should shut up about it. But the fact that that hasn't rolled around yet, it makes sense that, you know, a short-term deal is perfect because you don't want to be paying him. What's he making now? 7.25. Mm-hmm. You don't want to say make it just say 7. You don't want to be paying a 40-year-old $7 million, especially if his career is basically over and you can tell on the ice. That's a $7 million paperweight. You want if he wants longer term, sure, you're taking a massive pay cut then because of the last few years of it. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. Whereas if you want to earn your money like you deserve, take 2 years. Come back in 2 years because again, odds are, if you keep playing like this, we'll have this same discussion. Hey, how's about 2 more years? Same price. Do you work out literally the same exact contract? I mean, I know this isn't how it works, and we're dealing with agents and not players.
Yeah.
But it just on paper, it makes the most sense to say, all right, sign for 2 years at $7 million. If you're still that productive in 2 years at the age of 37, the way you've played your career with a laundry list of injuries, then we'll come back to that. You still have all that? Here, same exact contract again, $7 million for 2 more years, push you into your 39. Whereas if you want to sign long-term until you're 40 now, nope, here's $2 million because we're not putting that much money into what could fall apart.
Yeah. So I would like to lean towards the short term.
Yeah.
Because obviously you want to keep your options open for the future. Kris Letang plays a game, and you've mentioned this. You just said that you thought the same thing. You've been predicting that his game was going to fall off. He plays the game of hockey with almost reckless abandon.
Yeah.
And he plays 30 minutes a game. So eventually, I feel like there's not going to be a steady decline in Kris Letang's game. One day he's basically going to go out on the ice and it's going to be gone.
We're just gonna wake up one morning and his bones will be made of glass.
Yeah, he'll be the SpongeBob character.
Exactly.
So obviously, we don't know when that's going to happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. He's having an absolutely fantastic contract season right now. So you want to re-sign him because he's the leader of your defense. He is the guy on the blue line for the Pittsburgh Penguins and has been for a long time. So how long do I want to see this contract be for? I'd like to see him sign a 4-year deal. I feel like that's not long. I feel like that's not short. I don't know what either side is looking for here, but I would like to see him paid for 4 more years, because if you can do that, that can get the AAV down a little bit more. We just learned from the general manager's meeting that the salary cap is going to go up $1 million next year to 82 point or 80. Yeah, it was 83.1. I don't know. It's going up $1 million from what it is now. I think it's 81.5 now. It'll go up to 82.5 next season.
I believe so, yeah.
So it's only going up 1 million. The league predicts that this escrow payment that the players owe the league for the COVID shortened season is going to be paid off in 3 years. And then we're going to see a massive jump in salary cap because of how much money the league is making. They're having a great year revenue wise. They predict, I believe, a little over 5 billion. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
So when we look at this in 4 years, the cap will be back to where it needs to be. And then you can renegotiate 1 or 2 year deals with a tremendous amount of money there. Give them the 4-year deal, take a little off the top. Even if you want to front load it, do that, front load the contract. So if he does fall off, you can, I mean, I know there's only one player that's ever been bought out of the Pittsburgh Penguins under Mario Lemieux, and that was Jack Johnson, but leave it open that could be a possibility. I doubt they would buy out Kris Letang. That'd be a media shitstorm. And honestly, I think a 4-year deal is exactly where you want Kris Letang to be at. Do I think that's going to be what plays out? No. And we'll talk about that now. How do I think this is going to play out? I think it's going to end up being a 2-year deal for lots of money.
And I'm okay with that as well. I get the cap situation is weird, especially when we have a ton of guys to re-sign. But I think just because of his age and because of his play, 2 years makes the most sense. And let's say he falls off, you don't have to worry about that buyout. Because here's the thing as well. You're saying you want the 4-year. The 4-year would have him expire a year after Crosby. The same year Mike Matheson expires. And, oh, yeah, the same year Jack Johnson's buyout wraps up. So I get where you're going for with that. That's a lot ending at the same time.
Yeah.
But, again, who knows if you think in the standpoint of best for the team, I'm going 2 years, large money because he can demand that. And for what it's worth, as of right now, his play can still demand that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go 4 years, you got to take some off the top, like you said, and then go from there. But the thing is, we're dealing with agents. 4 years there, and this is like how we think it'll play out. Let's say he wants 4 years. We're dealing with agents. Okay. Well, he's going to be worth $7 million for the first 2. You know that. Why not complete the contract at $7 million? Well, because we don't want to pay $7 million to a 40-year-old, unless his name is Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. I don't know, though, because I feel like the Penguins value, obviously nobody values anybody higher than Sidney Crosby in that organization. That would be silly. They value Kris Letang very highly. I mean, I don't know how Hextall and Burke, because they haven't been there. They've only been there for less than a year now. But the majority of that organization, chief among them, Mario Lemieux, who everything has to get passed by, I would imagine when it comes to those guys, you cannot make a move with them, and it doesn't go through Mario first. So I feel like they hold him in such a high esteem that they're going to work very hard to keep him in Pittsburgh and keep him happy in Pittsburgh for as long as, he can play and as long as he would like.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we want. That's what everyone wants. That's what everyone in the organization, that's what everyone of those 3 players want, is to be Penguins for life. They've all said it multiple times.
Yeah.
I think Crosby's been kind of the most real about it. Like, he understands it's a business, but then again, he also has the longest damn contract of the 3.
Well, he's also the most secure in his position. So let's not pretend like Sidney Crosby doesn't know that they'll give him the sun and the moon to stay in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. One thing I'm curious about, though, is, I mean, is Letang's contract going to be bigger than Malkin's next one?
See, I don't know. Is
That's the
is
hard one.
there a way that you could see dueling contracts for Malkin and Letang? They get the same money in the same years. I don't know if that's going to happen, because there's no way you're going to be able to do that unless you do it at the same exact time, because one of them is going to come out first and the other one's going to want more money.
Yeah, and the other thing too there is, for that to even be possible, Malkin's got to come out and explode. He's got to pop the hell off to really earn some dough this year. Not that he can't, but if he wants his what is it? He's making 9.5. If he wants his team high again,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's probably going to demand it anyway and could get it. But my God, your injuries these past few years, your inevitable decline in play that we say gritted teeth. 9.5 for a 35, soon to be 36-year-old Russian who has an elbow, a knee, and other issues.
Yeah. Well, you already have to basically know that there's several $1 million in his next contract, and I mean Malkin's, that is just legend dollars.
Of course.
It's just legend dollars. It's just literally this is the baseline of how much you're going to pay him, the player, and here's the baseline of how much you're going to pay him because he's a Penguins legend. And then that's going to get put together. That's basically how that's going to work out. But I talked about this with Doug on Tuesday, actually. It's been so long, and you saw the messages as well because it was in our group chat. It's been so long, and I know it's only been like 6 months, but it feels like it's been so long since I've seen Evgeni Malkin play that I almost forget what his impact is going to be when he comes back. And then I have to remind myself he was on one knee in the playoffs and was the best damn player on a Penguins team that apart from Tristan Jarry, was playing very good hockey.
Yeah.
So it's a point of reference that when he comes back in the lineup, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen because I don't remember. Like hockey, you can have such a short-term memory when you're trying to watch all these games and you're like, okay, you start understanding what team you're going to see every single night. And it goes back to this, and then, but 6 months ago, 30 games ago was the last time we saw Evgeni Malkin put on a Penguin sweater and go out there as the second line center. So I don't know what that looks like. You don't know what that looks like with this year's team. I know it's basically the same team as last year, but I would say there's a lot of players that are different players than they were last year that were even in the same organization. And then you obviously add Heinen and McGinn, who are completely different human beings. And there's going to be, it's going to mesh differently.
Yeah.
It might work. It might work better. It might work just the same, but it's going to mesh differently. It's going to look different. And it's just been so long that I don't know what Evgeni Malkin is going to look like. And that was basically the entire conversation. And it's just like, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen there before I even try to make an assumption on what his next contract looks like. I feel like he takes less money, but that's just a gut feeling. And I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
You want a hard pill to swallow?
Always.
This early in the morning at 11:48 a.m. This team is playing perfectly fine without him right now.
I mean, that's not even a pill to swallow. That's like one of those Nutri-Grain gummies or whatever it was. Like, that's easy to swallow. I love the fact that this team is playing well despite having these players out. Like, how can that be a hard pill to swallow? Because it's like, yeah, they're fine without him, but don't tell me they're going to win a Stanley Cup without him, because they're not.
Okay. I was just gonna follow it up with new regime. They haven't seen Malkin play much, really. Sure, they saw him in the playoffs on one leg. Hey, yo, I'm being not devil's advocate, being a pessimist here for a minute.
Yeah.
And saying last year of a 35-year-old's contract that's making a ton of money is going to demand a lot of money. He's a UFA. Sure, they don't want to. Guaranteed they don't want to. But other teams in the KHL are always an option for Russian players.
Yeah, but listen.
And again, I don't want this to happen either. This is me being a pessimist. But
yeah.
I was sitting there watching the game yesterday thinking, holy shit, this team is pretty damn good without Malkin. Can they go far? No. But again, that age thing. He's 35. Jeff Carter is currently 37, 38 as our second line center. You get a young second line center implemented in there over Jeff Carter, who is leaving at the end of this year, regardless. You find another
Seems
young
like it.
center. Suddenly, you got Crosby, 2 young centers, and a future.
Mhm.
Not that I'm saying I want this to happen, but I'm saying getting in the mind of agents, of management, and of reality possibilities
Mhm.
that we may not see Malkin for too much longer. Now, me talking back, I'm back in my own head. Yeah, no, this dude's going to make a ton of money next year here as our second line center, regardless of his age. Maybe will he take a pay cut? Maybe. But again, if he comes out of his injury and pops off, all of a sudden he's making $10 million again next year.
Yeah, we saw Alex Ovechkin just get a little bit more money, but that's also, I mean, you take into account everything. When these agents look at everything, they look at everything as comparables to get their client the most amount of money possible. Like when you say stuff like, he's a 35-year-old center, soon to be 36 after the season. I'm sorry, I can't help but roll my eyes because you can't just label him a 35-year-old center. Yeah, sure. Joe Thornton is a 40-some-year-old, whatever. Okay, he's Joe Thornton. He'll get what he gets. He is at this point like a 40-year-old, whatever. Patrick Marleau at the end of his career was basically his age and not his name. Evgeni Malkin to this organization is not just a 35-year-old center. And it's almost ignorant to just try to even say that just because there's no way that they're going to be able to objectively look at that. And I don't care if Hextall and Burke have barely seen him play since they've taken over. They have eyes. They've watched this sport. They've watched his entire career. They've been around the sport his entire career. They know what he is. They know what he is in Pittsburgh, especially. And if they don't know, which they do, but if they don't know, Mario Lemieux and Sidney Crosby will kindly remind them. So there's no way. I mean, we started this off by talking about Letang, but there is no way that Evgeni Malkin does not finish his career, at least NHL career, in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a couple more seasons at least.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I just had to look at the dark side because it was Star Wars night, and the dark side was everywhere.
That's fair.
Also, quick side note: do the Canadians, are they the only team that gets these theme nights?
I don't know because a couple years ago, Star Wars night was against the Canadians as well.
I was at that game, and they had French language night, Canadians, but that one made sense.
That's pretty obvious.
But back on topic, both of them, in my mindset, do deserve their money and do deserve to play here for the rest of their careers. Again, I'm not the one in management, though.
Yeah, well, true.
And we've seen weirder things in sports.
We have. That's why Tom Brady is going to win us another Super Bowl in Tampa Bay instead of in New England. But we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're joined by our good buddy, Brian Metzer, on the show. We'll be right back.